Welcome to DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, so let's get started. All right, welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and today's special guest is Dustin Darakhshan. Dustin, did I say your last name right?
You did, Chris. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, I did ask you before. Almost said it right the first time, but didn't. But I'm glad you're on, man. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. The last name has been butchered many of times, so you did good. And thank you for having me and love what you're doing for the DFW community. So really appreciate you having me.
Appreciate it. And I'm certainly open to feedback, both positive and negative, because I just want this to get really good and be really good. And by the way, we're almost up a year in October. So you and I are doing this September. Now, this might come out in October. So you might actually hit that year mark. So that's pretty
Nice.
exciting. Yeah.
1 year anniversary, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dustin, you and I met. It was weird because you sent me a message on my website directly. And the message was something like, hey, you have these coaches in on your website. We want to be one of your coaches. So that's how I met you. I'll put it
Yeah,
on there, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And I was like, I don't know who
that's
this guy
free
is.
marketing. Free marketing. Let's get it out there.
I was like, who's this guy? Should I do this?
Yeah,
I didn't know who you are. But
right.
then over time, I heard about who you are. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll put it on. But you've been around the running community for some time and you've done some really cool things. And you're a coach for running and you also have a full-time job, you have a family. So we're going to get into all these things. But first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about you, your journey, how you got into running, and then let's just go from there.
Sure. I would say I have really two phases of my running career with a 20-year gap in between that. Literally 20 years of being on the couch or not really exercising or valuing being healthy in life. So I'm going to go back to high school or middle school, was a competitive club soccer player. My dad was a runner, ran Boston a few times. So he had me out on the track. He was very consistent, ran 5 miles a day, every day, same route. And I guess it wasn't until probably middle school where I went on the track and ran for the first time and was good at it. I think just naturally playing club soccer. And so that kind of progressed until ninth grade. I made the varsity cross country team in Richardson, where I still live now. Ironic, JJ Pierce, and was good off the gate. I think I was running 16:30s. Did the whole Foot Locker freshman race. I think at the time I was the 17th fastest freshman, which a 16:30 nowadays wouldn't even cut it close. But back in the day, that was respectable, and got a lot of letters from schools, continued through sophomore year, had another great year, probably got to low 16s, and then started playing basketball and pushed running to the side. So made the varsity basketball team, which was a cooler sport at the time.
Yeah.
And running became secondary. I still ran throughout my senior year, but wasn't as fast. I actually got slower. In fact, obviously a Dallas household name, Logan Sherman. I was a freshman when I was a senior at Pierce.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, who's this freshman starting to exchange races with me here? But still a good friend of mine. And that was really the extent of that. You know, went to school, went to college, started just working, living the Dallas young life, if you will.
Did you party too
And
much, Dustin? Was that
go
kind of
ahead.
did you party too much or what?
I went to Lubbock, guns up. So there's not much else to do in Lubbock, but I go
That's
to
right.
school and drink beer. Yes, I had my fun, I will say. And yeah, just didn't really value, I would say, just staying healthy. Valued like
Yeah.
getting going in my career, in other things, social life, etc. Very fair to say.
Okay. Yeah. That's normal for college kids, right?
Yes. And
I
then,
mean,
so one of the things that was probably a turning point in my life, as I mentioned, my dad was my hero in life. He had passed away in 2014 to cancer. And it was a very aggressive, found out 13 weeks later, pancreatic cancer. And it was actually the year my wife and I were getting married in 2014. And one of the things that was always in the back of my head was, I want to run the Boston Marathon because at that point in my life, I wasn't healthy. I wasn't running. And I still do this day, like just hear my dad knowing he's proud of some of the decisions I've made since getting healthy. And then leading to my second running phase, fast forward to 2020, February, my second child, my son was born, and something inside me just struck. I was 235 pounds. I wasn't healthy. Everything was good in life. Married, we had our
How much do
daughter.
you weigh now?
Right now, I'm about, depending on the day, 175,
Okay.
180. In peak shape, I was a few pounds less, but obviously lost a lot of pounds since. And at that point, I literally went outside, tried to go run. I was like, I used to be a runner. I
Yeah.
couldn't make it up the street. Literally, I couldn't run a mile, February of
Yep.
2020.
Yep.
And so I was talking to my wife, Katie, and as many people did during COVID, we got a Peloton. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I naturally started getting going with the Peloton. And then I started running. And obviously that was during COVID, but I ran my first marathon November of 2020. I think the only marathon that was going on that year locally was the Fort Worth Marathon.
Yeah.
So I had some ambition goals thinking I could. And at that time, during that year, I'd probably dropped 30, 40 pounds.
Feeling good and looking good.
Feeling good. 305 was my magic number for Boston. That was my initial goal.
Still big.
Ended up running a 311.
Oh, you're saying, I was like 305 pounds. You're saying you ran a 305. Got it. You
That
went
was the
311.
target number for Boston for my age group. So I was thinking I could do it on my first run. And so went out there, ran a 311. And really, like at that point, I was as
In
many
Fort
people
Worth.
as go ahead.
In Fort Worth, you ran the 311.
311. Yes,
Got it.
sir.
Okay.
But I was hooked. I think at that point, set aside the times, the Boston Marathon, I just became healthier, valued my health, different lifestyle, just in general. As many runners, I think it's helped me be a better husband, father, discipline at work, all the above. And so I just fell in love with the process and still am to this day.
So really, the reality is you've only been running for 5 years. I mean,
Correct.
not really that long. So you run Fort Worth and then you were hooked. You actually hit a very good time for your first marathon. 311 is pretty freaking awesome. And 305 is pretty aggressive, but you actually got close. So did that qualify you for Boston or no?
It did not. At that time it was tough because it was during COVID and I was still I was picking Logan's brain a lot, sending him messages about nutrition and training, like probably every week to the point where I was like, okay, like he obviously is a busy guy. And finally I asked him like, hey, should I get a coach? And so I was doing it on my own. And he referred me two coaches, one of his former college teammates, and then Chris Strait, who's Straight Speed, who was formerly based here in Dallas, and now he's in the Houston area. And so I started training with him January of 21. And so that's when I would say it just took off a little bit more and learn a little bit more about training, what I was actually doing, and not just, following some sort of plan and not understanding some of the science behind endurance. And so then at the time, the only marathon I could sign up for was one in Omaha. And so I raced Omaha which by the way, has a great children's museum. That's one of our family things. Marathon we go on, we try to take the kids and explore a children's museum. Anyways, I ended up running a 305, like 10. So it
Pretty
was
good.
just short of that goal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was
And
305, was going to qualify you for Boston?
that
Or
was my
what's-
qualifying time. I was 35 to
Okay.
40. At that time, I was 38.
Okay.
And I didn't really know about the buffers at all either, but I was close. And I was trying to find another race because I was like, I'm right there. I'm fit. I'm in shape. And so I was talking to my coach, Chris, and he told me about literally 6 weeks later, I was one of those crazy Boston chasers. And I did the light at the end of the tunnel marathon in outside Seattle in Washington in June. So literally 6 weeks later after Omaha, and it ended up running a 257. And so
Dang,
that got
dude.
me into Boston. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Now, let's back up a little bit. Were you shedding the weight over this time? What
I
did that look
was.
like?
I think really most of my weight loss was that 2020 year, really between February and that November
Of course.
race. Literally, it didn't take but just running and then discipline on diet. But I think steadily at that point, I was dropping weight, if you will, but it was mainly that first year of just getting into it and just being a little bit more intentional about diet and less of the social life, et cetera, just focusing on health. So probably about a 6-month period, I dropped 40 or 50 pounds.
What happened to me, and I'll just touch on a little bit, is when I was, I guess, 37, I was going through divorce, and I was about 30-ish pounds overweight. And my brother was like, dude, you're really big because you got to do something. And I was like, he goes, you should just come out and run with us or whatever. And instead, I started running at home and I was kind of like, I couldn't even run a mile. I set some goals that at the end of the week, every week for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I want to run a mile every day, walk a mile. But on that fifth day, I just want to jog the whole mile.
Yeah.
And then accelerated all the way until I ran a marathon eventually and halves and things like that. And I lost 30 pounds ish
Awesome.
easily
Yeah.
within 6 months
Yeah.
because although diet becomes important, it's always important, but guys can easily lose weight within 5 or 6 months if you just run. That did
Right.
nothing before. And if I just start running, you can lose all that weight. But then there comes that, okay, if you want to start losing weight, then if that's still a goal, then you really got to watch diet, and
Right.
then so that's how that works. So it's very similar to yours
Yeah.
in a way. So
Absolutely. And I always joke, like I run to be able to eat what I want and enjoy life too. I don't try to get too caught up in that. Just, I think the best part about it was just the lifestyle change and just good habits. Whether it's my wife and I joke a lot that for about a 10-year span before my running, I was the night owl. And now it's reversed. She's up reading a book until 10:30. As soon as the kids are down, I'm out now.
yeah,
Like 8:39.
yeah, I'm the same way, man. When you're like, hey, let's do the podcast at 7, I was like, cool, all right. But
So
yeah, I
awesome.
think that so my wife is a runner as well. So we have the same schedule from a nighttime and stuff. We're both in bed 8:30 or 9 o'clock every night and stuff. So that, and I think to me, partners are always, it's good that we run together. Or if we don't run together, we know that each person has their own training cycle and that
Absolutely.
we're just certainly okay with that. And so I think that it's always good to have that support and a partner that's going to help to kind of do that. Can you talk a little bit about how you have 2 kids and your wife?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if she's a runner or what, but I'm sure
She
there's
is.
some
She does.
stuff there. Okay.
Yeah, no, you set me up for some points here with the wife, but it's true. There would be no way that I could have accomplished or pursue the love of running and do it without her support. There's no way. Both of our kids being young, we both are working, both have busy jobs, and it's chaotic. It's good chaos. As soon as I get home, 6:45 from a run, it's like scrambling 15, 30 minutes to shower, get ready, get the kids off to school. We kind of joke, we just got a treadmill this year and we are like, wow, this is so convenient. Even though I've never been a big treadmill runner, like she likes to run on the treadmill and it's made, life a little bit easier for her to run. But yeah, she's a runner. She likes to do some of the boot camp stuff as well.
Yeah. I was a big fan until this year. I haven't done it, but it was like Orange Theory type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would go 2 or 3 times a week to that for shit. It's probably been 7 years, 8 years in a row. And then this year I'm like, I got to focus in on running because I'm a
Mhm.
big, actually my half marathon's coming up, but I'm not a marathon runner much anymore. Never really was. I did 3 or 4 of them, but now it's just, for me, it's just half marathons or we'll do these adventure type trips that are
Yeah.
pretty crazy sometimes. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So you got 257, you said?
257.
All right. And that's in Omaha.
That was in Washington, 6 weeks after Omaha.
Because oh, that's right. Okay, because
Yeah.
Omaha,
Yeah.
you hit 305, but you didn't hit what you
Yep.
want. Okay, that's
20
pretty
and then
impressive.
yeah, going into 22, I was hooked. I was crazy. I did actually Boston, Chicago, and New York all in 22. And which I look back and I'm like, how did we do that? And why did I do that? But it was a fun year, if you will. First Boston was incredible. My whole family went, my mom, my
Nice.
sister. It was a good experience, just dedicated to my father. And so I had everybody there. I wore my dad's Boston 2000 jacket, which I still do the day before
Wow.
every Boston Marathon. And then at that point, I was still progressing. I was still getting faster. I think I did
Before you get
two
into that, though, Dustin, talk a little bit more about your dad and his Boston's and why that was so inspiring to you.
for one. My dad moved to the country when he was 18,
Okay.
$500 in his pocket. And then ironically, that's where the Darakhshan comes from. My dad's from Iran. My mom was from Lexington, Kentucky. A little bit diversity there,
Does she have an
but
accent?
yep. He
Okay.
was he was just very influential in my life. He was my coach in soccer. He was always on the sidelines, just screaming, "Run, Dustin, run!" with a thick Persian accent. He asked all my buddies today, and they remember my dad coaching them. And you want to be able to provide your family what your father is giving you. And I just know that he didn't get to see me. He's watching me above doing what I'm doing now, and I know he's
Yeah.
proud, and that makes me
Yeah.
feel good.
Yeah. It's awesome to have somebody that's such a good influence. I think that we as parents gonna try to strive to be like your dad a little bit and just you hope your kids love you and look up to you and want to hang out with you when they get older and that kind of
Absolutely.
stuff. And so
Yeah.
I've got a 14-year-old that I always think that, or 15 now. He just turned 15.
Nice.
But so yeah, I certainly get that. And
Yeah.
that's really cool. So you run that Boston, and then what would you run?
Boston, Chicago, New York.
What was your
I
remember
think
your time at
Boston
all? Or?
was 255s, which was a PR, and then Chicago was a 246.
Wow.
And so I was progressing still. And then New York it was more of a fun run. It happened to be hot. It's a harder course. I think I did 255. Three
Dude, you're
races,
about to
three
skip
majors.
over all these three races.
Yeah.
You're telling me 257. Yeah, and I ran these three marathons, and I was like, wait, okay. So I think people want to hear those times, right? You're PRing, and even in New York, you hit a 255, which again, you get hot there, or the course is a lot harder. That's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. I
you
think
know,
in 22, it was the second hottest New York marathon
totally.
in the history. And I told myself, I'm like, I never want to do that one again. I'd go back to Boston, Chicago, New York. But looking back now, I think I would go back. It's hard to beat Chicago if you're looking to go run a fast one. And coming off Chicago to New York, I had some buddies running New York, and I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this one. So, yeah,
How'd you think of nutrition when you first started versus these three that you were doing in 2022? You started out
yeah,
in 2020. I'm sure you learned a lot. You got a coach. I'm
yeah.
sure that progressed a little bit. What was that like?
Yeah. On the nutrition side, I think the good thing is I've never really had a sensitive stomach. So I've always overfueled. I tend to overfuel. If you can handle it, I think you should. I've tried all sorts of gels, never really had issues. I probably am taking every 4 to 6 miles of gel. I think there's been a handful of times where I've cramped up, but I've fallen in line with my combo now and has been the last 2 years is the Martin gels and then with some salt tabs. And it tends to be the trick for me.
When you first ran that 311, sounds like have you done a marathon worse than 311 yet since
I
then?
have
Or,
not. No,
heck, geez,
it's
wow.
coming. It's
I mean,
coming at some point. It will happen.
maybe not. You could stop right now.
Yeah. True.
Okay. So no problem. Like that 311, when you look back, did you hydrate and do all the right things?
I
Pretty good.
think so. It's funny you
Okay.
asked. 'Cause that's when I was like playing 21 questions with Logan about what gels to use and how often
Okay.
you use it. But I think I probably was only taking 3 over a marathon on my first one. And then as I started researching and learning and trial and error, I realized, okay, probably if I can handle it, let's overfuel. I think that's a little bit to each their own if you can handle it in certain flavors, but you got to do it. You got
The thing I think about is whenever you're running with all these miles and stuff, 2020 to 2022 was probably not the time where you could run with a community of people. I don't know if
yeah,
that's true,
yeah,
but for the most part, it was a lot harder. I'm not saying that you couldn't get out there and do some of it. What
yeah.
was that like?
No, you're right. I think I know I was new to the community, so I didn't really know a lot of people. I was running solo most of the time. And then
Okay.
you fast forward, you've obviously had a lot of the sloths on the podcast. I think I probably started running with the sloths towards the tail end of 22 and probably 23, actually. I think was when I really started. And I did that specifically because if you want to get faster, you run with faster people.
That's right.
And so I met and I would run into them in a lot of races, Jennifer Pope, Matt Campbell, Matty Steer, a lot of the folks you've had on the show.
Dire.
And just they would start inviting me to come out. And it's funny now, I was running with them all this morning, or a lot of them. And I can't imagine doing some of these workouts solo now or just
Yeah.
going out there running. And that's the other thing I know it's been discussed on this podcast is just the running community, like-minded individuals, driven, successful, disciplined. When you surround yourself by these type of folks, like you're naturally going to be better at all aspects of life. And so that's probably outside of the individual benefits of just health, like just the community. That's why I love what you're doing here. The community is so powerful. And I'm the old guy of the sloths. Like I started
Yeah.
when I was
You are.
37, now I'm 42,
Yeah.
but it's just it's such a powerful thing to have a group of friends. And then you just meet other running clubs, other groups, just so many great people that you might have never met in your life if it wasn't for running.
Yeah.
And so
That's
I
awesome.
think go ahead.
Was there a specific person in the beginning that you latched onto and said, or was it just a group in general?
Man, it was a group. I think Eric Brettel, who was has been on the call, like we would finish races like within seconds of each other. But like at the time we didn't know each other. So we were competing. And so I was like, he was always just really nice. And then I think, but collectively the group was awesome. Obviously, I think Captain Campbell, I like to call him Captain. He's leading the squad and doing a lot of great things with medium running. He's always been somebody I've looked up to and really what he's done. So I think he's really stood out. But there's so many. Aaron Pearson, probably one of the most deceiving, talented runners of all of DFW. I think he ran a 5-minute mile on his last mile repeat this morning. And I think it's just the group. You know, I know one time we were emailing about I think the most impressive part is all the moms of the group too, and just some of the runners that they do, and just a great group of people.
Yeah. I've met most of them, maybe not
Yeah,
all of them, but even had a lot of discussions with them and they seem like most of them were all of them. I've had
yeah,
nothing but really great
yeah,
conversations but they are driven. And I think that is something you bring up. And I tell this all the time to folks is, if you want to get faster, you need to run with people your speed or a little bit faster than you. And Matt Campbell even said this, if I run a 220 something, then I can get others to run. That's just what happens.
absolutely.
People start following you and start, for whatever reason, it's a breakthrough. And so I think he's going to do, is it CIM or
Yeah, I am.
Indianapolis?
Yep.
Yeah. I think one of his goals is trying to hit the 220s something
Yeah,
mark.
I feel
So
confident he will.
he's looking good, man. I
Yeah,
mean, in some 5Ks and things. I mean,
yeah,
but that's not a
yeah,
marathon, but I have no doubt
yeah,
the guy can do it. And so
yeah,
as long as he stays healthy, I think the opportunity is huge. Can't wait. A lot of good people are going to run CIM. Are you
yeah.
doing CIM this year?
I am. I won't be. I don't think I'll be in the in that range by any means, but I'm working to get back at it. So we'll see.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Talk a little bit about this year, because from my understanding, so I couldn't get you on this podcast because you're like, I'm really slow right now.
Yeah.
So talk about that because I think you're injured or something like that.
Yeah, so I coming off 22, I think 23, I backed off the volume of marathons. I think I did So my A race was St. George that October, and everything clicked. I got my miles up to, I put a long cycle in. I was putting over 100 miles a week, and that was my peak fitness. And I got down to 234. And
Wow.
till this day, that's my PR. Will I ever get there again? I don't know, but I'm not too
Maybe.
caught up into that now.
Yeah.
So now, and then 24, I got my half PR at the Woodlands. And then just after that, it was a little bit of a lingering injury in my hip. Didn't know what it was. I did Berlin, didn't have the best race.
Oh, hold on. What was your halftime? You said you PR'd. You didn't say the time.
116.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, so I ended up having an inguinal hernia. And so I had surgery this January, and
Wow.
pretty simple process.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks off and get back at it. But obviously, I think it was more not just the post surgery, just the aspect of not knowing what it was for probably about a 6-month period leading up to most of the second half of last year, just trying to diagnose what it was. And so figuring that out. And now I'm back and feeling better. Got a piece of metal mesh in my kind of groin area here and just grinding again.
You feel it at all, or is it not? You don't
No,
feel anything.
don't feel it. Just, yeah. I don't
Perfect.
beep when I go through a metal detector. So that's good. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you're also a coach. So let's
Yes.
talk about that. How'd you get into that?
Yeah. I think so. I have a neighborhood running group here. It's DCRC, Canyon Creek Running Club. Just started as a Facebook group, kind of started with a text thread, and I became the running guy around the elementary school and neighborhood. And naturally, I would want to help people. My coach is, I wouldn't have accomplished what I've done without my coach. I really believe in, having a coach, whether you're a beginner or an expert. So I just was helping people probably the last 2 or 3 years just on my own. And then my wife, Katie, was like, hey, like, you should do this. And then,
You should charge for it.
yeah, and I'm not doing it for the money. I got enough responsibility and just time, but it's just a passion of giving back to this and helping really change a lot of people's lives. I think my niche or expertise is like beginners and first time marathoners.
Okay.
There's no greater feeling now than seeing somebody accomplish something that they didn't know they could do. And so I think I've helped probably just neighbors, half a dozen to a dozen folks cross that finish line for the first time. And that's a great feeling to be able to help them do that.
But you seem to have a great personality for that. Because if you think about some runners, and we don't have to call anybody out, they're intense or really good or whatever. You think they might not have the patience or for somebody that is just starting out and misses the. And
Yeah.
I think that's a personality that you'd have to do that because even you're very experienced. You've been doing this for a long time. You're running 230 marathons, or whatever. And if somebody comes out and wants to start training from scratch, they don't have maybe the same work ethic because they don't know or understand the time and effort that it takes, or they might get frustrated, or maybe they skip a practice. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think you have to have you have to have the right personality for those kind of, for the
Absolutely.
beginners in the beginning.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. And I was figuring out what I wanted to do with it. I got the RRC certification. Actually, Matt told me about that. And then I was going to, in the process of starting my own thing. And then Chris, my coach, was like, why don't you just join Straight Speed? Made it a little bit easier, doing a lot of the same philosophies that he's had with me. But as you said, I'm not coaching a lot of elite 230, 240 folks. I'm coaching a little bit more of the beginners and some people getting into it. And it's been great. It's been fun. I really have enjoyed it so far.
That's good, man. Puts another perspective for me on that coaching page. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I should put Dustin's name or I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever. What's coming up for you? What's the next step?
Oh, I think what's for me right now is in the phase of life and my running career is just, I'm thankful to be back at the grind. I'm thankful to just get back at it. Like I said, I don't know if 234 mark will ever be there again, which I'm totally content with. I think at some point I'm not getting faster. I might go longer.
Yeah.
I have
Mm.
done Cowtown
50Ks, things like that.
50K.
Yeah.
Dallas 50K. I got third at both of those in the past. I'm planning on doing Cowtown 50K next year. I think that's my best race. If you were to ask me, what's your best race? Is it half marathon, marathon? I'd probably tell you a road race that's a 50K.
Really?
I love longer distances, but I'm not a trail runner. So anything long that's on the road are my best races. That's probably, I would say at this point, what's in store for me is just enjoying the sport, enjoying the community and others, and just keep grinding and just being thankful for it.
That's awesome. How long were you off whenever you were injured? What was
I
the
was off maybe maybe a month or two, but
Okay.
I lost a lot of fitness just from the lingering injury and trying to figure out what it was and backing off and try like back off and then start running, be in pain, back off. So it was probably about 6 months of on and off and then
Got
the
it.
surgery including. So a good 6 months does set you back when I'm not, I'm not in the 20s. I'm not in my 30s. I'm 42, about to be 43. Like I'm an old guy. So
Well,
it takes
you know
me
what?
I got
Well,
to
I feel
grind to
I'm
get
50
back.
now. So
Yeah.
if I
So
stop, yeah, I do.
yeah.
And I think that getting back at it is really difficult. You go through an injury and, especially 6 months, it's happened to me one or two times. And sometimes I get discouraged. And it's not that I don't run. If I was hitting 40 to 50 miles, maybe I'm then only hitting 15 or 20. And I was like, oh, this sucks. Like, how do I kind of get in that mindset? And so you just do it. You know what it takes and things like that. Guess CIN coming. So that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Is there anything on that I just didn't cover at all that you're like, Chris, you should have really covered this? Or I would love to talk about this.
No, I think we hit it. I think one thing Matt Barron said and I loved is just like those pillars in life. And I
Yeah.
think that's so valuable for so many people. Just knowing faith, family, your work, and running. Those are my four pillars. And just knowing those values. And if I were to impact anybody, it's just don't get too caught up in the numbers. I've been there. I think a lot of us have. And just take a step back and look at how far you've come and really enjoy the process. It really is just about looking at where you were when you started. Everybody's got a story, and it's not just that number. It's just about getting out there and doing it, whether it's a five hour, 6 hour marathon or 10-minute mile, whatever it is. That's a beautiful thing that you can't ever take for granted.
I like that. And I do push people to talk about their times, and sometimes it's a little
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But I think people want to hear what kind of marathon runner you are and things like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're right. Are you out there just trying to exercise, do something, and stay consistent at whatever it is? In this case, running. We're talking about running, and that's what we do. Is we run on a consistent basis, and times will come and go. It's
Hmm.
just the reality. And I've talked about this in the past too. Is your 20s are different than your 30s, different in your 40s, and different in your 50s, 60s, etc. Your times are going to get slower at some
Oh,
point.
yeah. Yeah.
It's the reality.
Right.
And that's fine. Can you still go out there and jog 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever? Can you still do half a marathon, whatever it is? Or
Right.
can you do some core stuff? I don't know. But consistency of exercising to me has helped me in my life in a ton of different ways. And one of the ways I keep doing it is because of races, right? It
Yeah.
pushes me. I want to stay skinny. I want to stay healthy. Running helps me to eat better. It helps me to think better. It helps me to work harder. It does all of those things
Right.
because I could talk about it all day. And that's what I do. Is I had to talk about it with people like yourself. And I love it. And I think it does a
Yeah.
lot of different things. And I think you make a great point about
Yeah.
times are, like I said, they come and go.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
great. But
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I want to run fast and I want to have a good time. But I think through the years now, you value the bigger picture.
I do. I'm still trying to go for PRs in the half marathon. We'll see what happens
I
on
love it.
Saturday. But you know
Yeah.
what? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's 'cause
Yeah.
every time I put pressure on myself to
Oh,
do
yeah.
really good, I do actually not as well. So it's those times where I can just
Right.
kind of relax and just see what happens.
There's something to say about being vulnerable and really putting yourself in a position to come up to a starting line and say, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And I think that takes a lot of vulnerability, and that's such a empowering thing that you can apply to other aspects of your life. But don't get too caught up if you don't hit it. It's just you put yourself in that position and you didn't get it. But most people wouldn't even put themselves in that shit
That's
because they're scared to do it.
and I tell people, look, there's always another race.
Yeah.
I'm racing a half marathon on Saturday, but I have one in December. I have another one in Houston and in
Right.
January. There's always opportunities
Absolutely.
to run another race. And
Yeah.
it's okay that, look, I'm not saying when you run a marathon and you train for a marathon and you don't hit that time, it's definitely disappointing. That's just the way marathons go in
Yeah.
general for most people,
Yeah.
not you yet, but
No,
you know,
there's been some races where it hasn't gone my way. It
yeah,
happens to everybody.
it does, you know,
Yeah.
and you want everybody to do well. And I'm pulling for all of everyone that's excited about doing it and trying to PR. And I know how disappointing it is. I remember sometimes we have too big of expectations for ourselves. I know this one lady, we were running with DRC years ago, and she was young and never ran a marathon. And I don't even know that she ran that many half marathons. And she's like, yeah, man, I'm going to qualify for Boston. And she had the talent for it. It wasn't that didn't have the talent. I said, look, just be aware that it could take a couple of years to really
Yeah.
get your body in shape for a marathon. I'm not saying you shouldn't have that goal to qualify, but the reality is, and I'm not trying to bust your bubble here, is most people don't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It sometimes does. More often than not, your body is just not ready to run that fast because you just don't know anything about a marathon. You don't know. And so
Yeah.
if you hit a 3:11, but that wasn't enough to qualify you through Boston, not even that close. You're 6
Right.
minutes off at that time. And so be smart. Just know that reality is that it might take a few times
Yeah.
to get there, and it's okay. Stick with it. Keep going.
Stick with
You know,
it. Show up, be consistent, enjoy the process.
exactly. That's been
Yes,
good,
sir.
man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate
My
it.
first ever podcast. So I hope I did okay.
You did great. A lot of people's first. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
probably 95% of the people I talk to in Dallas, it's their
Yeah.
first podcast.
Love what you're doing and keep up the great work. And thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel. Don't forget to rate and review us, but also don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at dfwrunningtalk.substack.com. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.